Social Pulse Weekly, brought to you by Agorapulse. Discussing this week's hottest topics and latest developments in social media marketing. With your host, Jennifer Watson. Here's Social Pulse Weekly.
Hey everyone, happy Friday, and I have Jen on screen. That wasn't supposed to happen. It was supposed to be that she was here.
I'm over here sharing.
I know. She's sharing it everywhere. All right, guys, I'm going to give Jen a moment. I'm going to pull out myself on screen. I love you guys. Happy Friday. I hope everyone is doing amazing. By the way, Jen and I were having just an epic conversation off screen, which is why we're like a minute or two late, because we're best friends and our name is both Jen, except for she's got two N's. And so we were just geeking out and catching up, and we're like, wait, we have a show to do. That was really me. And so, yay, I'm so excited. Everyone is here. We have Mike Alton in the house. I'm so glad you've joined us. And for those of you that are here, please let us know who you are, where you're watching us from, and something that you've accomplished this past week. We want to know it. I can't believe it's already mid-March, guys. It's mid-March. Can you believe it? And one of the funny things is, and I'm going to ask another question. I've been asking more different questions to our viewers. Last week, we were talking about a movie that motivated you, which The Wedding Planner was our guest. So I want to know, Jen, if there's any kind of movie that motivated you to become who you are, let me know. And also our viewers, let us know if there's a movie that motivated you. Catch Me If You Can was one of those as well. We've got Mark Barris in the house. Mark, thank you so much for joining us. Hey, Jennifer and Jen. We've got Trisha in the house as well. We've got the amazing Megan Powers. Yes. Yeah. Megan's like, wait, you're still on Clubhouse? Yeah, I'm actually in a Clubhouse room right now, but I've got the volume down. So it's I know. I can be two places at once. It is possible. And just a quick heads up, we are using StreamYard. So for us to see you, make sure on Facebook that you give StreamYard permission so I can see who you are, because we've got Jeff from Atlanta. Jeff, you should just come here and be like a live audience with me, because we're both in Atlanta. And I believe Jeff Ironman, is that the one you're saying right now? Yes, Jeff, I believe that's you. Yes, we've got Jen ×2 in the house. So without further ado, I'm going to pull Jen up and geek out about how amazing she is. This is Jen Herman, Jen's Trends. She is someone that inspires me so much every single day, because she is just a powerhouse. She's brilliant. She's smart. She's an amazing mom, all of those things. So let's get right down to it. Jen Herman is a social media consultant, speaker, and globally recognized Instagram expert. She is the forefront blogger on Instagram marketing, and her blog, Jen's Trends, has won the title of a top 10 social media blog over multiple years. Through her blog, consulting, and speaking, Jen provides tips, resources, and training for organizations of all sizes that need to structure their social media strategies. Her business background includes administration, sales, human resources, and marketing, and she enjoys bringing all these skills together to help you grow your business. Jen has been featured on Inc., Fox News, Yahoo Finance, Huffington Post, The Verge, CBS Radio LA, and numerous other podcasts and publications. She is also the author of Instagram for Business for Dummies, and I believe, so I think with your bio, Jen, you're 3 times an author. Yes. So
there's a few of them.
Yes. And we're going to have Jen show her books. And also she has 2 new courses out for real estate. There she has all 3 of them right there. Instagram. And what's the Instagram for business?
So there's the social media marketing one.
Mm-hmm.
There is Instagram for Business for Dummies, which if you do go to Amazon, get the pink one. The blue one is the old one. So the pink one is the new one, which even has reels and everything. And then we have Instagram for Dummies, which is not a business functional one. It's just Instagram in general.
Oh my gosh, I love it. So if you are looking just to amp up your game, just buy all 3 and literally it'll take your Instagram strategy seriously to the next level. And if you're struggling out there, because Jen, Instagram is one of those where people are just like, I want the 10,000 followers. I was like that for Agorapulse, and we finally got it.
Right.
Yeah. And one of the biggest things was actually being social on social, which you forget, not that you forget, but you have this
You get
never
busy.
ending checklist. Yeah. And so you realize, well, wait a minute, I need to actually take time to have conversations and meaningful conversations online, on social. And that's what I did. And that's what really helped. Yes, we've got Trisha
Aw,
here.
thanks, Trisha.
Says, oh, yes, your YouTube videos are amazing. Oh, and when Brian comes as well, yes, Jeff, you should definitely do it. We'll definitely have to meet up and figure everything out. But I want to dive right in because, as you know, we've had Jen before as a guest, and she gave a powerful new presentation at our summit that we had. I think it was now 2.5 weeks ago on February 24th. And you can still register and sign up and see it and get 30 plus sessions for free, all about Instagram. But Jen's presentation was incredible and amazing. So I want to dive right in. First of all, I have several questions for you, Jen. And I feel like we could talk for hours about Instagram and then talk for hours just about life in general. But we have Jen for
just right off Friday. Like, we're done, you guys. We're just going to talk the rest of the day.
I know. I should have we should have made this a Jen marathon. Maybe we can do that in the future. But Jen, first of all, just give us a little background of why you're so awesome and how you came to be so awesome. Because, like, seriously, everything you do in your structure and how you approach everything is gold. And anything you touch is successful.
Well, great. I'm gonna start touching more things.
Seriously,
I love you. Well, yeah, I mean, and I think I've shared the story numerous times, but I started my blog 8 years ago for Jen's Trends in social media management, which at the time there was this little app called Instagram that was gaining traction, and so I was like, well, if I'm going to talk about trends, I may as well talk about this whole Instagram thing. And I was really reluctant to do it. But when I found the app and when I started using it, I just fell in love with it. And no one else was really blogging about it. And I had this little blog that was getting, a little bit of traction. So I started blogging about Instagram. And that was how I became the world's forefront blogger, because I blogged every single week. I did case studies. I did, recommendations and tactics, and started looking at strategy. And I started ranking as #1 search results on Google. And I started getting invited to podcasts and events. And it just kind of happened. I did not wake up one day and say, hey, I'm going to be an Instagram expert. It evolved over time, and it's all been learned through hard knocks. I'm very, very fortunate to know amazing people at companies like Agorapulse who know what's happening with the API, and they can tell me and explain when things change. I get people around the world who know me that when they get beta or, early rollout access in other countries, they will reach out to me and be like, hey, I got early access. Do you want screenshots? Do you want to try it out? And so I'm able to rely on a huge network of wonderful human beings to help me share that information even more and get it out there. And whether it's my Facebook group, whether it's my email newsletter, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's on podcasts or whatever, I can share that information and give the scientific kind of explanation for why Instagram does what it does, and help you really understand how to make it work, not just, what to do, but really understand the how. And that's, I think, why, people appreciate so much of what I do, whether it's the hashtag strategy or, the content algorithm. I really break down the science of it so that people can go like, oh, yeah, okay, I can do that. And it makes it easier for everybody.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much. And you almost read my mind here with the hashtag strategy, because that's my next question. And I want you to share it with us. But first, Mark is here. He says, Jen has helped me so much with the importance of engagement. And yes. And Mark, I would love for you to share any successes that you've had on Instagram lately, like what has worked for you. And if you have any questions for Jen, this is a safe place, guys. We have Jen Herman for an hour. She costs like thousands of dollars for an hour. Not really. Like, close to that. But seriously though, this is your opportunity to ask a question, and there are no silly questions, because there's so many different features and things you have to think about and that are important on Instagram. So if you're struggling with your Instagram strategy or have a question, I'm sure everyone else has the same question. So feel free to ask it. But right now, Jen, I would love you to share your secret sauce of your hashtag strategy.
So yes, and you always ask me this question because I know how much you love it. And this is one of those things where, I usually have slides up and I tell people screenshot the slides. But you can go to jenstrends.com, or you can go to YouTube and search Jen's Trends and look for hashtag strategy on either one of those, and you'll find the video and or the blog post with the super secret hashtag recipe that I tell everybody. And this is literally when I poll my Facebook group as to like the best advice they've ever gotten from me, hands down, like bar above everybody else, they always say the hashtag strategy. So here's what it is. It's a couple components. One, you need to combine a variety of popular, moderately popular, niche specific, and branded hashtags. Popular hashtags are going to be those with about 500,000, upwards of 1 million posts associated with them. If you go into Instagram, you look at a hashtag, it tells you how many posts are associated with it. So 500,000 to 1 million. Then you're going to do moderately popular. These are those that have tens of thousands up to about that 500,000. Now, these are fluctuating numbers, so it doesn't have to be like exactly 500,000 is the cutoff, but in that range. And then your niche specific are super, super targeted to exactly what it is you do, the solution you offer, the problem you solve, what it is your product does, super niche specific, industry related, that sort of thing. These may only have a few thousand or even a few hundred posts associated with them. And then you have your branded hashtags. So you may have one, you may have three, but you have your branded hashtags. You're going to want about 5 from each category, and then for the 3, and then like, 1 to 3 of your own branded. So right there, you're up to like 18 hashtags and you didn't even try. You want to use as many as possible, up to 30. So the more you use, the more searches you show up in. If you only use 3 hashtags, you're only showing up in 3 searches. I'm not a gambler. I'm going to go for more. So use as many as you can. Then you need to start thinking about what hashtags to actually use. So a couple things to think about here. We want to do hashtags related to where your audience is. Meaning, I always tell people, I use the example of car insurance. If you sell car insurance and you put hashtag car insurance on your post on Instagram, you are not attracting your ideal audience. Because if somebody needs car insurance, they're going to go to Google. They're not going to go search car insurance on Instagram. The only people looking at that hashtag are other car insurance brokers who are your competitors. This is not helping you. So you want to think about what your target audience is doing. If you sell car insurance, people are looking for things and posting things on hashtags like hashtag dream car, hashtag my first car, hashtag new car, hashtag BMW, whatever it is. They're searching and doing things related to cars. And if someone's looking for using a hashtag related to my first car or hashtag new car, chances are they're probably going to need some car insurance, right? So this is a way to get in front of the audience where they already are, and creating content using those hashtags that are relevant to them allow your content to show up in those relevant searches. So the reason this all works when you put all this together is when you post your content on Instagram, your followers start to see it. Yay, they're interacting with it. Now, what happens is with the hashtags, the popular ones give you an initial burst of activity. Right away, they're really popular. A lot of people are looking at it. You could generate 3 likes, 30 likes, it depends. Then the moderately popular ones keep your content active for hours into days. So those popular ones, they can expire in a matter of minutes because they're pulling in so much content. But those moderately popular keep your content active longer. And what happens now is Instagram looks at your content and says, okay, your followers are liking it. Your non-followers are liking it. You must have found the secret sauce. You figured out what works. You're creating high quality content. So in those niche specific ones that don't have a lot of competition, you now rank as the #1 post, or the top 3 even. And you can actually stay in that position for months. I've seen content be in the #1 position for literally 2 months because nobody's content outperformed that piece of content. And the longer you stay in the #1 position, the more engagement you continue to get, which means your content continues to be the best performing content because it's the #1 post. But what happens if you're the #1 post? People click on it. Now they're reading your caption. They're seeing your call to action. They're going to your profile. They're following you. They're calling you or emailing you. They're going to your website. And that is how you use it to funnel people where you actually want them to go.
So I think what's going to happen after every question that we ask Jen, it's going to be like a mic drop moment. So just like seriously, like everyone just, oh my gosh, this is why we have Jen Herman on. This is why she was one of our only 2 live keynotes. Well, we had 2 live sessions. There were 3 people, but seriously, this is why we had Jen on, because she is that brilliant. Has anyone ever told you that strategy before in that depth, so you actually fully understand the reasoning why behind it? No. So yes, oh my gosh, yes. And Brianna said, yes, this is so true. New car is a perfect example for a hashtag in that situation. Oh my God, so glad I hopped on. I almost forgot about this. Yes, yes. You guys, and just like Jen said, I love her hashtag strategy. Like seriously, I mean, it is just, I don't know, it's absolutely brilliant. And Jen, I know I didn't ask you this in the questions. I sent Jen questions ahead of time, but she's presented on this before. And so, and Teresa, I see your question.
Yeah, Teresa has a good question.
And let's do that really quick. So sorry, this was not covered. My kids got loud for a minute. Are the popular and moderately popular hashtags related to your business in any way, or does it matter? Great
question. Jinx. So yes, it does matter. And they should be related to your content, to your industry, to your niche, to your brand, to the problem you solve. So for example, maybe you're a realtor. And so not all your hashtags may be related to real estate, but if your post is about a DIY, tip on how to spruce up your bathroom, then you would have the hashtags related to, home decor, home remodel, home DIY, bathrooms, bathroom remodel. So you could have hashtags that are related to the content, but there's still going to be ones in there that you're going to have related to what you do, real estate in your specific city, your geographical locations, your branded hashtags, that sort of thing. So yes, it may not be 100% specific to your industry or niche, but it's going to be content specific and or industry specific.
I love that. Teresa, that was a fantastic question. Everyone follow suit to Teresa. If you have questions, ask them.
Yes.
We have Jen here. That's what she's here for. And while we're on this, and then I'm going to go back to some of my other questions. And I realize I sent you a lot of questions, Jen, and I don't know if we're going to get through them all. No. And that's okay. I know, Jen, I'm sure Jen read and she was just like, so yeah, maybe
like we'll get through like 3 of these.
Oh my gosh, exactly. And so, and something that you've talked about on stage so much is the power of the bio. Can you just give a quick, example or tips on what a powerful bio looks like on Instagram for everyone?
So 3 key things: who you are, what you do, what's in it for them. Them being the person looking at your profile. I would say, I can't put a number on it, but I would say the vast majority, like 90+% of the time when someone comes to your Instagram profile to read the bio, they are a first-time visitor. Most people, once they're following you, are never going to read your bio again. They may come over to click on the link or email you or look at your gallery, but most of them are not going to actually look and read your bio again after they're following you. So we want it formatted for first-time visitors, first impression, that 30-second elevator pitch, why it matters to them. So bullet point format is best. Make it easy, scannable, readable. Have, like I said, who you are. So what your brand is defined, what is it you do, the industry you are, the solution you solve, that sort of thing. And then have something in there that's a value add to them. So whether that's the call to action, what are you sharing that's going to make it worth it for them to follow you? That sort of thing. Keep it personal if you are a personal brand. Keep it light and fun if that is relevant to your brand. Don't make it super corporate-y speak. We want someone that's reading that profile to get a really good indication of your brand and who you are in that 150 characters. It's not a lot to work with. One of my best tips for success, I did not write my own profile bio, for the record, and I don't recommend you write your own either. What I recommend you do is actually ask friends, family, coworkers, customers, colleagues, anybody in your network, and say, if you had to write 3 bullet points about my business and me, what would you write? And have them submit to you a bunch of these little bullet points. And then you can now take those and be like, okay, this is what my brand does. This is who we are, kind of the personality component. And here's my value add. Here's what I do for people. Here's why people want to work with me. So take all that information from the other people and then use that to write your bio.
Oh my gosh, I love this so much, Jen. Mic drop again. And kind of to piggyback off of that, Jen, because I love that you mentioned having people write, 3 bullet points about you and your business. And if anyone is struggling right now to figure out what their passion is or their superpower, as we call it, I was actually in a clubhouse last week, I believe it was, and the person was like, pay attention to how people describe you and introduce you, because they're, what they say about you is, what you kind of exhibit to the world or show off to the world. And so focus in on that and think about that. And if that is something passionate, that you want to do, then go for it. But I love that, Jen, so much. And I love your honesty too, because you're just real. And you tell people like, stop doing that, do this. And sometimes people just need to be like, taught, the right thing. So Jen, I love this so much. We've got, I love Bree Anderson. I'm a big fan of area related hashtags. Yes. So important. Yes. Can we please normalize that? I hate writing about myself. Yes. And yes. Bree is brilliant, by the way. So really quick, Jen, this past year, it's basically been a year since everything was shut down, which I can't believe. What has worked with you for you on Instagram this past year? I know it's different for everyone. And what businesses have maybe really shined light, or like, let's say it was like a restaurant that was like shut down. Like, where have you seen people being smart and clever, or businesses being smart and clever on Instagram that you're like, wow, good for them? Yes, because they're finding success and surviving with their business, even if they can't have their doors open.
Yeah. And I think this is so relevant in so many ways, right? Not just in COVID, but especially in COVID.
Yeah.
So a couple things obviously have changed in the last year. Instagram has rolled out more functionality that obviously helps in certain situations. So Reels is obviously now out there. And if anyone's ever heard me talk about Reels, you know how I feel. And in a completely unabashed, conversation, I will tell you that I absolutely hate Reels. But that being said, they are valuable right now, just like when Facebook pushed Facebook groups, groups got all the reach. Well, right now, Reels are getting all the reach. So if you can use Reels, if it's something that aligns with your brand, if it's a content that is easy enough for you to create, then take advantage of those. I've even told people, I'm like, if you're more comfortable in stories, create your content in stories, download it to your phone, and then upload that to your Reels. So instead of filming within Reels, you can do it in a platform on stories, or maybe you're a little more comfortable and a little more adept at creating the content, put it in Reels. Now you have a Reel, and that's more likely to get more reach and exposure. You can also add all the hashtags and captions and things like that to your Reels to get that additional exposure. So take advantage of that if it works for you. Realize you will not be punished for not using them. So you're not going to lose reach if you don't create Reels, but you will get more reach if you do use them. Another thing that Instagram did is the live rooms, which is just adding more people to Instagram Live. I don't know how they called it rooms, I'm sure because of Clubhouse. But really, all they did was give us functionality to have 3 guests on, our Instagram Lives, or before we could only have 1 guest. But live was something that transformed so many businesses during COVID. I think we all remember when things first shut down in March going into April, when you logged onto Instagram, it was like everybody was live, right? I mean, they kept crashing the Instagram servers because everyone started going live. Now it's back to like normal ranges. But it's such a powerful way. It's just like this, right? If you can have a guest come on, if you can talk one-on-one, if you can talk in real time to your audience, it's an incredibly powerful way to build that relationship, build that trust factor, build that relationship that they want to work with you, that they want to come back regularly for episodic content if you're showing up every week or once a month or whatever it is at the same time. So definitely consider the live video. One of my favorite accounts, and I wouldn't necessarily say that she's, thrived during COVID so much, but I showcased her in my keynote, which is at Inspired to Taste. So Inspired Taste, and she is a cookie designer. But they are like, oh, freaking amazing! Like they are pieces of art. And what she does is she, tags, like she'll see a celebrity wear a dress and she makes a cookie of that dress. And then she tags that celebrity and she'll get, all this publicity and everything because other people start sharing it and posting it or tagging Vogue or whomever. And she's been able to work with brands like Christian Louboutin and like HBO Max and all these different organizations because she made some cookies and posted a picture at Instagram. And now she's getting brand deals with these high-end and really popular brands. So that's something that is a really, it's a very hands-on approach, right? It's very deliberate. She's specifically creating a piece of content for a specific person. That may not be she may not get a deal with that person, but it's getting her the exposure into other people in that industry or into that space. And it's grown her business exponentially. So think about that kind of thing. Right now it really is about relationships. It really is about that engagement where you can connect with people, when you can create something that is uniquely yours and you're not just, spewing the corporate jargon out there over and over and over again about, how great your brand is. The more you can personalize it, the more you can push something into a direct conversation with people. And, Jen, you were talking about that at the top of the show, like how when you show up and engage and have those authentic conversations, your audience grew. Like that is even probably more so now in COVID, but that's always going to be true.
Yeah. And it's one thing that you forget about. And even from executive buy-in, they're like, so wait, you're just going to be like messaging people on social like you do at home, it's like, what? Yeah, but it's so important. And you can, if you have stats, that's one of the biggest things. When I was at my prior job, when I was like, no, we need to actually do social this way. Because a lot of times people think, oh, I'm on Facebook, I know social. No, there's a lot more to it, or Instagram. And so when you have stats to back things up, that'll always help support whatever you're trying to do. But Jen, gosh, I love that so much. And the cookie, like Brianna said, that is so freaking smart. It is. It's so clever. And I love that example. We've got Jeremy in the house. He said, what a great tip about saving story and posting it as a reel. I love that tip, Jen. That's so smart. And
I'm all for making life easy. And I hate reels. Okay. I'm going to keep saying it probably till the end of time, even though I will do them because I see the value in them. But we're good with stories, right? Like we've learned that platform. We've gotten easy with it. And for me to create a reel, minimum of 45 minutes. Mama ain't got that time in my life. But I can throw up a story, whack it together, splice it, done, upload to reels, and I've got a reel, and it didn't take me any extra time. And I'm all about, giving myself extra time in a day.
Yes. Oh my God. And that's like, from you, I haven't heard that from anybody else, that tip. So I love that, Jen.
Oh,
you guys, Jen's tips are gold. So if you seriously have questions, please ask them. And another quick tip, if you're nervous about going live, on camera or anything like that, do stories on a daily basis. So you get comfortable seeing your face on camera as well. And I love the example that you gave. One other one that Jen has done in the past, which totally blew me away when she first said it, was follow is at TSA. I believe that's. Oh my God.
Yes.
Because so you would think, all right, it's strict. TSA, they're the security at the airport and they're checking and make sure there's nothing dangerous in your luggage. But that Instagram account is hilarious.
Yeah.
Looking
stories and feed across the board. They are amazing.
And the thing is, Jen uses it as an example because the personality behind it. So you may be your business, you're just like, how am I supposed to have an active Instagram account with a strict TSA? Just see what they're doing and how clever it is. So that's
and I always point out too, their photos are wretched. Right? Almost to the point where they're so wretched, the moment you see it, it's a TSA photo because they are so bad. It was a TSA agent that took a photo for documenting purposes. So it's horrible, overhead fluorescent lighting. And it's not a well-placed image at all. And then they have these brilliant captions. And it's the, kind of the dichotomy from the crappy image, which is everything you don't do on Instagram, to these amazingly genius captions. I just love them.
Oh my gosh, no. And it's so, and I love the fact that you said you basically can identify them in your feed.
Yeah.
And so that's something that you want to think of too, is color scheme or whatever, people being able to be oh, wow, I know that's from Jen Herman because, that's her post. So I love it.
And that's why my stories, you'll see always use one of two fonts. I almost always use the same filter. Even if it's subliminal, it's always the same filter. I use similar color tones, right? So that again, people see it. Like, and I've had people see other people's stories and go, that's Jen Herman's branding. Like, there's only 7 fonts to choose from. Like, I'm not saying no one else can use it, but when other people start to see it, they're associating it with mine because I'm doing the same thing over and over. And it does ingrain a subliminal reaction in people when they see your content and recognize it as you.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. So much. Yes. Like Jen, this is why you just need to buy her books because
Yes.
we're like getting so granular, which is such a powerful thing. But if you haven't gotten this granular with your Instagram strategy, and this is blowing your mind, like it's blowing mine, even though I've heard it before, but it's like, I'm hearing it because I'm just like, oh my God, Jen. Like everyone needs to hear this from you. You need to speak on like all the stages. There needs to be, like,
all the stages, all the events.
There needs to be a live TV special about Jen Herman and Instagram. Seriously.
Let's make that happen. Who do you know in TV, Jen?
Well, I know. We'll work on that. I actually know some people, so we'll make that happen. But I love how Deb Mitchell's loving this too. And if you have questions, guys, doesn't matter like how small, whatever the question is, don't be nervous, ask it. And we have this one: conversation leads to all the goodies via social. Yes, yes, yes. Bree said, "Don't hate me. I didn't know Jen had books. Going on a book hunt now." That's okay.
Brianna, super easy. jenstrends.com/books. Boom, done. They're all right there, girl.
Yeah. And what you need to do, Brianna, can you share your TikTok? So she is big on TikTok. She is analytics queen. If you need someone to like look at your analytics, Brianna is your girl. So Brianna, if you want to share your website, TikTok links, all that, please do so because she is brilliant and amazing and loves all of this. And
Sarah, get all the books.
yes, I love that. So Facebook user, give your content a personality. Yes, Jen, so awesome. Jen, this is freaking awesome. That's from Jeremy. Get all the books. Yes, yes, and yes. You can't do enough reading. I mean, you will literally, even if you do just a couple pages a day, if that's all the time you have, you will learn something every single day. So you guys, get those questions. Please ask those questions in here because otherwise I'm taking control. I'm just going to do whatever I want to do, but I want to make sure you have time. So Jen, I would also love to know, so we kind of talked about, you kind of just spoke to this, but I've seen a lot more people posting feed posts. And it was like a thing last year. Like I noticed like, oh, I guess I don't really need to post every day. I wasn't getting that, much engagement, awareness. But now I'm seeing a lot of influencers and people feed posts more frequently and kind of doing all the things. And I would love to know if you know like any tips or tricks with the current algorithm of what people should be doing and trying. And I know you kind of already spoke to this, but if there's anything else.
Yeah, no, I mean, and here's the thing. And again, I've written a blog post because, cover all the things. There was a rumor that came out. Well, not a rumor. There was a blogger who came out a little while ago, probably a couple months ago now, around the beginning of the year. And she had a conversation with an Instagram rep. And the Instagram rep told her, you need to do all of this. And he laid out all of the content. And she wrote a blog post. And she was basically like, you crazy. Like, oh, hey, I'll do the no, I cannot possibly do this and run a business. And that recipe got filtered through the social spaces and everyone was like, oh my God, there's no way I can create this much content. And so I did write a blog post, of course, and I was like, no, you do not need to create that much content. Of course, Instagram is going to tell you to do that. It's like going to a timeshare, meeting. They're going to be like, oh, you can do all of this. And if you do all of this, you get all of this. Of course, Instagram, if you do all of this, we will give you the world. Well, yeah, if you live on Instagram, of course, they're going to give you reach because that's your entire life. So things to keep in mind, like we kind of just talked about, reels are incredibly powerful. If you do a reel a week, it will probably boost your reach of all of your other content. So if you did one reel and one feed and a series of stories, your feed and stories will get more reach because you've done the reel. Now, eventually, that's going to stop, right? They're going to stop pushing reels eventually and things will kind of go back to normal. But for now, take advantage of that if you can. Feed posts in general, less is going to be more. And when I say that, I mean once a week, that's fine. 3 times a week, That's fine. 3 times a day? Oh my God, no. Unless you are a media company or like a international or national sports team or athlete that has a ton of content, no. Posting that frequently is actually going to hurt you algorithmically because there's no way for your audience to see that much content. And if they're not seeing your content, or if they ignore any of the content they do see, you start ranking lower and lower in that person's feed. It's not a popularity contest. It's not how well that post performs overall. It's how well that post performs with that user. So we don't want to oversaturate the feed content. So 3 to 5 times a week is good for most brands. Once a week is also totally fine. It's only the best quality content we want out there. If it's not relevant, if it's not serving your audience, if it's not serving your end goal, don't do it. Stories, more is better. So if you can have a story live every 24 hours in sequence, so there's always something fresh in your stories, that's beneficial because it's short form content. You don't know when your audience is logging in. Are they showing up at 2 p.m. on Tuesday and then again on Friday at 9 a.m.? Well, they missed all that content in the middle. So if you only posted on Wednesday, they wouldn't have seen it. But if you have something constantly in your stories, they're more likely to see it. We also want stories that drive engagement. So have stickers that are clickable, meaning location stickers, at mention stickers. If they are polls, questions, quizzes, any of those interactive stickers, anything that sends people to the DM when they interact with it, those are all hugely positive from an algorithmic perspective because they didn't just passively entertain, your content as it went through in front of their face. If they take action on it, you are going to rank higher in their stories feed. So think about that when you're putting your stories together.
Oh my gosh, I love that. There's questions here. I have questions. So
we're going to be here all day.
We're just jam packing it in. Really quick, alt text. How powerful is that? And then also, can you speak to location on your stories and how honing in on when we were in San Diego, the convention center in San Diego, not just San Diego in general, but do your things. Yes.
Cool. So alt text, yes, I highly recommend you use it for a variety of reasons. One, it's accessible. So people that are using screen readers can actually have the screen reader tell them what's in the image. So we want that description in your alt text to be descriptive of what's actually in the image, i.e. if we went and took a photo of me right now, we would want a photo that says Jen Herman in home office, some sort of actual description of it, and then talk about, the context of it, the location, the details that are in the image, any of those sorts of things. Also, it's not currently searchable from an SEO perspective, meaning those things aren't showing up in Google searches, but they could. And if you've got alt text on any of those images, when that functionality becomes available, your content could be showing up in those search results, especially if they are well formatted for your brand, for your industry, for the product or the service that people are going to be looking for. So you definitely want to have that alt text in there. Additionally, we don't really know how the whole new search feature on Instagram is working, but now you can do keyword search on Instagram. So you don't just search by hashtags or locations. Now you can do keyword search. This is still new. It's still in development. It's still getting better and better and better. I am pretty sure that it is looking at the alt text on those images to help source the things that show up in those keyword searches. It's looking at a variety of content. We don't know exactly what. Trust me, I am trying to dissect it. But I would highly recommend the alt text because it will very likely help with those keyword search results. Now, in terms of the stories and what to use and when to use and that sort of thing, location tags are great for a couple reasons. Right now, everyone's like, don't use hashtags and don't use location tags because they're not showing up in searches. And yes, for most people, if you go to a search, the story search results are not populating like they used to. That doesn't mean to stop using them. People are still looking for those locations. So if they do show up, we want to have that content there. But more importantly, it's a clickable sticker that drives up the engagement. So if you're clicking on it and going to other content related to it, that's not a bad thing, especially if it's your physical business, right? We want people finding that content or knowing where to go. It's like I said, the engagement factor as well, just from clicking on it, is a positive ranking that helps algorithmically. So we definitely want to use those location tags. And when you are using those location tags, you want to get as narrow and specific as possible. So if you are at an event, like Jen was mentioning, the convention center, tag the convention center. Don't tag San Diego. If you have a physical business, tag your physical business location, not the city. If you are a realtor, tag a park or location immediately in the vicinity of that piece of property, not the property necessarily itself, but something super close, because the algorithm knows that that finite location is in that neighborhood, in that community, in that city, in that state, in that country. And by tagging a super finite location, you actually show up in more searches. Whereas if you had tagged San Diego, you're not going to show up in those smaller sub searches. So we always want to get as granular as possible with those location tags.
Oh my gosh, I love this and I love you, Jen. And I wish I had a bottle of water that I could like virtually hand to you, or like, you know, something, because literally Jen, guys, is like talking so much information so fast. She's trying to, she knows I have so many questions. She's trying
I'm trying to get through all of this.
I know she's doing
so much to say.
I know Jen's going to be like, after this, like, I don't know if I ever want to do it. I don't know if I want to do this again, but we've got a great question and I want to get to it. This is how can corporate accounts jump on Reels? That is a great question. So Jen, after you take a quick breath, what are your tips?
So this is hard to answer without knowing more, because industries make a difference, right? Corporate is one aspect of so many different levels. But here's the thing. Again, there is a brand personality behind your business. And even as a corporate company, you have a brand. You may have 3 employees, you may have 30 employees, you may have 300 employees, but there is a brand and a voice and a tone and a personality associated with that. I am not the person who's going to tell you to get on the music and do the dances and do the reels that way. I am just not going to be the person to tell you to do that. So I love things like education. I love things that are more maybe tips and tutorials and those sorts of things. You could do things where you have different employees sharing a piece of news from your industry. You could have them sharing tips and tutorials on how to do things that appeal to your target audience and the solution that you offer. You could have little tours of your corporate facility. If it's something where you have a large building and there's multiple components, you could have like, you know, a meet the HR team. You could have a meet the accounting team. You could have, you know, meet the front office, you know, team. You could have those sorts of things in there, and especially because the reels do go to your feed if you want to, that becomes a great way to create that content that becomes a meet the team. And then if you really wanted to take it to the next level, you could create an Instagram guide, which is a compilation of content. And if you put the reels to your feed, any feed post can be put into a guide. You can now have a guide for a meet the team. So now you could have meet the team's reels in your guide to show people, you know, what it's like to work at your company, which could be a retention and recruiting thing, but also a comfort and trust building factor for people to know when they come to your location, who they're going to meet, what they're going to see, that sort of stuff. So I would not encourage the whole like jump on the dance craze or, you know, the challenges or any of those sorts of things. Instead, look at what your ultimate goal is for social media, and then how can you create content that stays on brand with that. If you live in a certain city where, like I live in San Diego, right? Beaches, surfing, you could tie that in. If you lived in Colorado, you could, you know, have things tied into, you know, snowboarding and skiing and snowmobiling, and, you know, find ways to tie in external content to your brand and that sort of thing. If you really wanted to get creative and go outside, but still not do the, you know, the music challenge stuff.
Oh my gosh, I love it. That was such a good question. I think we have a piggyback question, and then I'm going to twist it in a way to incorporate one of the questions I was going to ask you, because I think it folds right in. But really quick, though, we've got Jenny Newman that wants to bottle you up, Jenny. Like, seriously, like your knowledge and everything is beyond brilliant. It's just absolutely
well,
wonderful.
Fortunately for you, I've got a couple courses that have me all bottled up. So just saying.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So, and you guys, we are getting 15 minutes away from the top of the hour. If you have a question for Jen, just think of one. Ask it now because we've got her, because we still have trivia where we're giving away lots of fun things for Agorapulse. And along with that, we're going to be geeking out a little bit about Jen's awesome new courses so you can learn even more. But really quick, so Trisha Chambers and Bree, I see your question as well. But I'm going to tie in Trisha first just because kind of piggybacks off of the previous question. But she was asking about, I think, reel content. And Trisha, write in the comments, correct me if I'm wrong, or elaborate if you want to. She's asking about e-commerce sites and shopping for reels, which I think also talking about guides, maybe how you can tie in both, because you were just kind of talking about guides, maybe give some tips about reels for that, which I think you did give a lot of great tips, Jen, already, which Trisha, you can probably use, but then also how they can take advantage of guides as well. And what guides is really for, maybe like a quick rundown of all that.
Yeah. So for e-commerce, I mean, if you have a physical product in your e-commerce store, I hate to be the person to like say this, but you've got it easy, right? Because like it's the B2B, it's the service people where we're like, we don't have an actual product. We can't photograph or video this. But if you've got a product, let's just say, for example, the Agorapulse mug, right? You could literally have a stop motion reel. So like keep moving that product to different locations, different people holding it in a different environment, mixing up the person, or it could be the same person depending on how big your team is and how you wanted to approach that. And you could have it be that kind of stop motion. You could have it where it goes back and forth, like the same location and back and forth between different products. So if you have multiple SKUs or products in a line, you could literally take the one product, move it, put the next one in, take the next one. And again, those stop motion ones can be really valuable for that kind of industry. So that would definitely be something I would play with. And even again, how to use reels. So if you have a product, here's different ways that you can use it, or here's how to fix it. If it's known to like have it's easily going to snap, or is there something that, here's how to quickly replace it, or those sorts of things. Any of those little tips and tutorials make great reels because they're short, they're quick, and again, you can repurpose them everywhere. Guides, quick recap on that. Again, go to the blog or go to YouTube. I've got lots of information on guides, but they're basically a compilation of content, yours or other people's content. If you've bookmarked other people's content, you can put it in there as well. But it's the newspaper icon. If you go to somebody's profile and you see the newspaper icon, that's the guide. I do have that set up on my profile at JENNS_trends. You can go take a look at them. And so you go in there, and basically what it does is it takes whatever content you've put in there into one resource. This is great, again, for people like in the B2B space, or if you have multiple product lines, because you can create whatever type of guide you want. So I have one for Instagram news. And every time there's, news and updates, I can put it in there so people don't have to go through all of my content. They can go right to that guide and see all those updates. Same thing if you had product lines, have one for product line A, B, C, and now they don't have to scroll through all your content. If they're only interested in product A, that guide has all of those posts, which include your calls to action, pricing, availability, any of those sorts of things you have in any of those post captions.
My gosh, Jen, you're so amazing. Hopefully that helped. And Trisha did elaborate a little bit more. Now I fully understand her question, but thank you so much for diving into guides, because I think guides is so powerful as well. Trisha, your question is more on stories and tags. When it comes to e-commerce, if it's an online business, you can't tag a specific location. So what tips do you have specifically for that, Jen?
Yeah, so great question on that. If you're using, the e-commerce, like I said, you don't have a physical store, you don't have a physical location, you can do things, still use like hashtags as the either the sticker tag or manually using a text box and put hashtags in there. Because again, those still become clickable, those still become searchable to some extent as well. But instead of doing so much of the location tags for those, which you could tag different locations if you want to target people in certain industries or certain geographical areas. But instead, I would focus on other stickers. Look for ones that, again, generate the engagement. So do a poll, like, do you prefer A or B? And you have both, in the image, and people have to choose. Could be choosing between a color, or, little things like the quizzes related to your industry, the product you have, those sorts of things. You don't need to worry so much about the location tags. Use the other ones that allow that same level, if not more, engagement for that clickability.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Jen, so awesome, so valuable. Trisha, I hope that helped you. Really quick, before I want you kind of to take a deep dive about some of your courses, Bree asked if you use Creator Studio. And so Jen does use Agorapulse, but tell us about your workflow, Jen.
So I use Agorapulse because I am one button Jen, right? I like everything in one place where I just click a button and it just does what I need it to do. So that's why I am like all about Agorapulse. We all know that. I do not personally use Creator Studio. I have played with it. I have tried it. It is a great free tool if you don't want to spend the money. That being said, it is clunky AF. There are so many issues with it where like people have a draft that goes live without them telling it to. They have posts scheduled that don't go out when they're supposed to, but then you can't even find them in the pending queue, so they just kind of disappear into thin air. They are working on it. They rolled this out, I think, with a little too much vigor and not enough, back end work, but it is a good tool if you don't want to pay for a tool. That being said, I'm going to go with the mantra, you get what you pay for. It's a free tool. That's what you're going to get. So I use Agorapulse. I don't use it to schedule a lot for Instagram because I don't actually put out a lot of content on Instagram. And a lot of it I do spontaneously on like, oh, look, there's an Instagram update. Let me post about that on Instagram. But when I have launches or campaigns or anything going on, I do schedule all of that. I love that there's the hashtag tool in Agorapulse that makes everything super easy to just be like, boom, drop, hashtags done. That makes life super easy. And then I also like that I can, have all my other management in there because I do use Agorapulse heavily for LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter because that's content that I do actually schedule and manage. But from the Instagram side, I do most of it spontaneous on the fly, especially with my stories. But yeah, it's honestly like one button Jen, Agorapulse, click.
And I love, Jen, how you get that honest opinion. And Bree, thanks for asking that question. One thing that I do love that Agorapulse has is the hashtag groups. And also you can schedule stories. It's not like
the notification.
Yes, yeah. on the push notifications. So, which is amazing as well. So there's lots of fun tools and things in there. So Jen, you are so brilliant and so awesome. I am going to share a couple links here in the comments, guys, of new courses that Jen has. So if you love what you're getting right now, get ready to get even more. But Jen, so you have real estate or for realtors, yep, as well as B2B businesses. Yes. Can you just dive in a little bit more on what people will get for each? And I'm going to share the link right now in the comments.
So the context is the same for both courses. It's the same outline. It's the same structure. The B2B is much more in depth in certain areas than the real estate one because B2B is such a broad range. So I had to give way more examples and go into more analogies and opportunities than in the real estate one, which is pretty straightforward. So they're all the same format, which is they are 8 modules, 6 hours of content. So you just got me for an hour with all these like Q&A. This is literally 6 hours of pretty much everything that is in my brain when it comes to Instagram. There is everything to set up your profile. We literally touched on that for like 3 minutes. I have 2 videos just on setting up your profile and maximizing it for lead generation, for following, growing your following, all that sort of stuff. There are modules for content in both the feed and stories, all the things you need to know with lots of examples for both the real estate course and the B2B course. I pull in all these different examples of what people are doing, how they're doing it, break down why it works, how it works, all that sort of stuff. Then we go into driving traffic to your website, and we have a module on insights specifically for those 2 industries. Again, how do you go through and say, okay, what are my insights telling me? What matters? What do I do to make more of it work? We break all that down in one of the longer modules for the insights. So Bree, I'm feeling you over here. Like you're the analytics girl. I'm like, girl, I feel you because I'm all about the analytics as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, shoot me a DM anywhere on social, shoot me an email. But if you want to go to those courses, I know Jen is dropping those in there. It's Instagram for realestate.jenstrends.com or Instagram for business.jenstrends.com. And if you, like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. But those courses will give you soup to nuts, everything you need to be successful on Instagram.
So yeah, so if you found this amazingly successful and your mind blown, like you get Jen for 6 hours and she gets so granular into the data, the trends, examples, like absolutely brilliant. So I have Instagram for business is the first one, guys, that I shared. And then real estate professionals is the second one I shared. And if you have questions or anything, just DM Jen, DM me, whatever, let us know and we will get you in contact with Jen. We'll get you all signed up and ready to go. With that said, before we leave, guys, it's fun trivia time, and it's all about Instagram. We're going to dive right in. So,
and I can't play.
And Jen can't play. She can maybe give a tip or two. Potentially, I tend to give away the answer too, but this is trivia. You can win an Agorapulse t-shirt or mug, your choice. You have to answer both questions correctly. We will have a tiebreaker if there is a tiebreaker. Along with that, when you answer, do question 1- A, B, C, or D, or 2- A, B, C, or D, so we know which question you are answering. I give 24 hours, so people who watch the replay have a chance to win as well. But this is the question, the first one. What number of businesses are on Instagram? And I kind of just forgot a word there, but are on Instagram. Yes. Yeah. It's a Friday, guys. There's been a lot going on. Is it 5 million, 10 million, 20 million, or 25, more than 25 million? But keep in mind, million is a lot. 1 million is a lot. So
I would also say, keep in mind that there are over 1 billion monthly active users on Instagram. So just keep that in mind too.
Oh my God, Jen's giving it away. Not me this time, you guys.
I'm just saying, if you look at the overall.
I know. Mike Alton, if he was here, he used to be my producer.
I know he's gonna be wagging his finger at me. Sorry, Mike.
I know he'd be the guy. He's the godfather of Agorapulse. You'd be like, Jen, no. So Bree said 1D. Megan says 1D. Yes. You guys are. Yes, I'm giving away the answer. Yes. So everyone answer. If you just go 1- whatever it is, I'll give you just like 10 more seconds before I switch to the next one. Jen, I don't know if I'm going to let you talk about this one.
All right, I'll keep it. I'll keep my mouth shut on this one.
I know. I'm going to try not say anything either. These aren't that hard, guys. Man, I'm struggling here. What percentage of teens are on Instagram? What percentage of teens or teenagers are on Instagram? So you got to think about
that's a little tough though, because those numbers are pretty close. Like it's not like you gave them like a 5% and an 80%. Like, okay, that's a fair question. I'm going to give that one. Yeah, that's fine.
Thanks, guys. So if my day job doesn't work out, I could potentially write exam questions. Which
I hire you.
Yes, you never know. So what percentage of teenagers are on Instagram? So you got to think about Snapchat, right? And TikTok. There are a lot of social channels, and it's even crazy to think about that social media didn't even come into fruition until I was in college. So imagine, teenagers that, some of them, late teenagers, 18-year-olds are in college, but what are they getting into? So is it 58%? We've got several comments here. We've got, answering all 1D. We've got 2A. So we've got one answer for 2A. I'm not going to give any more tips, guys. Either is Jen, because we're going to give away the answer. So this is tricky. Brianna said D, 2D. You guys, great guesses. Megan, Bree, I love that you guys are just jumping into it. You're just
right. I love it.
You guys are so awesome. You're so positive. Everyone, like, this is just fun, guys, right? Like, this is just for fun gear. We're just kicking back on a Friday. So just make a guess, even if you're not sure. Don't Google it, though, because Jen and I can both see where you are right now. We can see your screen. We know what's happening behind the scenes. Emily said 2-C. Yes, you guys are. We have basically everything for 2. We've got A, D, C. I don't have a B yet for number 2. Is anyone guessing B? Let us know. But for all of you that are watching that have contributed, I'm probably going to pull this off, but you guys can still post the replay. I give you about 24 hours, but I just have to say, Jen, you are amazing. And for everyone watching, can you guys give Jen a virtual round of applause? We can potentially hear it if it's loud enough, because Jen is awesome. And she took time out of her busy schedule. She's got a lot of work to do. She has clients, she's got so many things, and she was able to answer your questions, answer my questions. So just, Jen, you are so amazing. Jen, where can people find you, hire you? And figure out more about your courses just in general?
Pretty much everywhere in the world and on the World Wide Web as Jen's Trends. I'm Instagram and Twitter and Clubhouse at JENNS_trends. Website is jenstrends.com. Everything in the world you could possibly want to know about me links to somehow on the website, including all the different, social media channels, the books, the courses, everything is available there. Feel free to hit me up. And then I do also recommend my Facebook group. So if you go to Facebook and search Jen's Trends in social media, that is the group where I share all breaking news related to Instagram. We actually talk about it there first, get a bunch of ideas, opinions, and thoughts, and then I go talk about it in the rest of the world. So if you really want to know what's going on with Instagram, come join Jen's Trends in social media on Facebook.
Yes, she's absolutely brilliant, guys. Just Google Jen's Trends. Like she said, you'll find everything. And one last thing, we did have our Instagram summit and sessions are still available. Yes. And so I have actually the old graphic on here. I need to actually up this up. So it was on February 24th, but it's 30 plus sessions. Jen gave more information and different information, I think, from this interview for the most part, Jen. I believe this was mostly different. But yeah, so you just go to summit.agorapulse.com, summit.agorapulse.com. This is free, guys, 30 plus sessions. You have about a week or so left to view these for free. So do it. Get more Jen Herman, get her courses, do all the things, buy all the books, because you know what? Everyone needs more Jen Herman, Jen's Trends in their lives, because she will just fix everything in your life. Like she will just turn it to gold, like we said before. So yes, go to summit.agorapulse.com. And with that said, for Jen, for me, for everyone else, thank you so much all for joining. Bree, Megan, Jenny, Emily, so many people that were in the house today. Obviously we had Deb, we had Mike in the house, Trisha, Jeremy. Yeah, so many people, and we love all of you. We had Sarah. You all are brilliant and amazing. If you need anything from Agorapulse ever or me, you can just email me at jennifer@agorapulse.com. If you have an idea for a guest or someone you want to see on the show, send me an email or slide into my DMs. Jennifer Weather is my Instagram name, and so I'm also a meteorologist by trade. If you don't know that, I geek out about weather. So if you want to do that as well, but yeah, DM me at Jennifer Weather on Instagram or email me, jennifer@agorapulse.com. If you need help with anything, you want to learn more about Agorapulse, or if you just want to geek out about social media in general. But with that said, make it a great rest of the day, make it a great weekend, and we will see you back here next week. Cheers, everyone. Bye.